pages to display that. And that, when I started using that, it's like, that'd be a great way to do VROPs. So that's what I do. And what management does in our environment then is they're always going to vRops, is that single pane of glass, to see what we're doing with automation. So it's that nice little integration. Then with vRops 8 and VRA 8, they did a really good job right out of the box that you can integrate the two together. So if you do a deployment, and let's say you give users access to only VRA and not vRops, you can still integrate those. And if you look in there in my slide deck, you can see I'm showing the performance of the VM. So there again, it's always going back to that one single pane of glass that you can pull in all the information. And thinking outside the box a little bit with the text display widget, we have two different data centers. And one of the things I thought would be kind of nice to show is the weather from each. One is in Pennsylvania, one's in Texas. And then like for Pennsylvania, I even show the radar map. And that's all within vRops, that you don't have to leave vRops if you're in there monitoring your performance all day long. And I just thought that was a great way to show that, because if you display this on, let's say you have a NOC center and you have a whole wall of TVs and you want to be able to show the people inside your NOC, hey, this is what the weather's like outside, because most NOCs that I've been in don't have windows, and it's kind of thinking outside the box a little bit of what you can display. Ever since everybody's on my team has been working from home, we're really big users of Zoom. So we use that for video chats and chats. So Zoom has a status website. So there again, I use the text display widget to link out to Zoom, and it shows the status. Just this past Monday, Zoom was having some issues with some people weren't able to join some video conferences. So some of my team went to this dashboard that I have, and they immediately seen that, hey, there's some alerts in Zoom saying there's issues. So, it's always that single pane of glass. I keep saying it, but try to think of that's where you go to do monitoring and check performance. I'm even showing an example there of AWS. There's a lot of SaaS applications that people have, and as long as they have a status page available, you could look at showing that. And there again, you could even show that in your NOC. Everybody's working from home. One of the things I didn't always know was when were the people actually working on my team, if they were taking a day off. So our developers internally created a web page that shows information from Kronos. So they sent everybody the link, and I'm like, man, that would be a great thing to include in the vRops, since we're in there all day long monitoring performance, is to create this link. So you can see there, I can go out at any time and see who's working and which days. And when I talked about right sizing, in addition to monitoring, if an app team says, hey, I need this much CPU or this much memory, after you're monitoring your VMs for a while, it tells you what they should be, So if they're asking for a lot, you can say no, or maybe it's even the opposite. Maybe they don't have enough CPU and memory, and that's why they're complaining that it's slow. So there again, to use that single pane of glass, now you're also using it to set up things correctly in your environment. One of the new features in version 8 of vRops that I really like is the troubleshooting workbench. So, you're monitoring, you're kind of seeing how things are, but then to go out here and do your troubleshooting. Here you can see all the different layers in your stack, and I really like how they do the red, yellow, green. If VM is having issues, go and look at this right away and see where your issue. If you see red, that's where maybe you should start looking at first. If things are showing green, don't spend time in that area. So there's also many ways to show this information to your users. You can set them up as a user that they would sign into vRealize operations directly. In a NOC environment, if they sign in as a specific user, what you can do is give a list of which dashboards that you would want to display have them auto rotate and what's going to display next and set a time on there. If you have Workspace ONE in your environment, you can create catalog items that are linking to dashboards. And if you just want to send somebody a quick link by email, you can do that. And if you look at my slide deck, when you create these links for people to see outside of VROPS, you can even set a time, and you can say it's good for 1 day, a week, a month, or never expire if you're doing it on like a company portal or something. So I'm also showing that let's say there's one dashboard that you created that you have this corporate portal that's already in place, and you're like, man, I'd really like to show that data. You can take the embedded information, and that's what I'm showing, and include that into other systems. I mean, everything I'm talking about is bringing data into VROPS, but you can do the opposite too if you really have to. Here's what it looks like in Workspace ONE. You can see like where I work, we give a lot of links to all the VMware products, even some products that aren't VMware. And then this makes a nice little area that everybody comes to that you don't want to set them up as a user, but you still want them to see the dashboards. You can do that with Workspace ONE. And then what you can do is set up what they call categories. And I have a category that's called dashboards. So I take all my VROPS dashboards so to quickly see which ones are dashboards, groups them all together nice. And this would be like if you're in a NOC environment, or even working from home sometimes, I have an extra monitor that I'll sign in and actually have like a NOC type environment in my house that you can say, display this dashboard, and then, do the auto transition, turn that on, say, keep it on the screen for 180 seconds, 3 minutes, and here's what to display next, and just have these screens. So if you're on a NOC and you have a whole wall of screens, you can kind of set up some really nice, if you don't have enough screens to show all your dashboards, just set up some rotation and set a timing on it. Works really great in a NOC. So quick overview. Just think of VROPS as a place for that single pane of glass that you can display more than what it's collecting from vCenter. The text display widget, just think outside of the box. I really think they should rename that to the cool shit widget, because if you can display weather and websites that you create internally, it's really good widget. And then all the different ways that you can display the dashboards to users, it's whatever works best in your environment. So, I should go out and start creating your own single pane of glass. If you want to see what I'm working on next, just follow me on Twitter @DaleHassier, or go out and check out my blog site. It's vcrocs.info. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and reach out to me afterwards if you have any additional questions. Thanks.